True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT at the airport. I'm on a layover right now. And by the way, for those of you who are tuning in, smash that like button. Let me know if you guys can see me because I'm not sure what the signal's like in here. But I figured I'd come holler at you guys because I'm on a layover right now. I'm over here and I think I'm in Oakland, California, so en route to Vegas. Just waiting for my my next flight. I got quite a bit of time. So, you got any boxing questions? I know there's a lot to talk about. I know everybody's gassed up because apparently Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua got the next fight signed. I'll be honest, I haven't really gotten excited about the whole Joshua Fury thing because to me it's not official yet. I know Fury came out and said that the fight's gonna happen, but for me, when it comes to these fight announcements, I'm always skeptical, especially with this fight, with all this money going on with this fight. I need to see the fight poster. I need to see the date. I need to see all that stuff. So I refuse to believe it or do any videos about it until it's signed. That's why, I've seen like other people unboxing on YouTube. They've done their videos. They're getting gassed up. I'm not really getting gassed up because there's no reason to get gassed up because to me, it's not official yet. All we have is Tyson Fury just going on Instagram saying there's a fight happening, but that doesn't mean anything. Jesus M, what's good, champ? Brendan Smith, Kevin Effect. Yeah, man, shout out to you guys. Jesus M says, what's good? I'm good, champ. Just waiting to get to Las Vegas. I'm going to be in Las Vegas for these next 2 weeks. The LA trip didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So, I'm looking forward to making the Las Vegas trip a lot better. I know Teofimo Lopez is out there, so I'm going to go try to holler at him. Sean Porter's out there, Caleb Plant. So we're definitely going to have some big interviews for you guys. I don't know who I'm going to interview when I'm in Vegas, but we're going to interview somebody when we go to Vegas. It's been 4 years since I've gone to Vegas, so, we're going to make it count. Kevin Effect, what's up, champ? How you living? Good to see you. Brennan Smith. And we need the official arbitration news. Oh, you're talking about the Fury Wilder thing? Yeah, look, with this fight, there's so many moving pieces. Like, that's why as fight fans, I would highly advise everybody, especially if you have a YouTube channel, don't get too excited. Tyson Fury can get on Instagram and say, hey, the fight's happening. I talked to the guy in Saudi Arabia. Joshua can do the same thing. But at the end of the day, they're fighters, and they only have so much of a say-so. It ultimately comes down to, especially with the fight of this magnitude, with this kind of money, with this sort of global appeal, this fight has to be, announced by Eddie Hearn. And until you get an announcement from Eddie Hearn, DAZN, and people like that, do not get excited, all right? Fresh BX, what's good? Cherry says, True School's on a nationwide tour. Yeah, man. I'm on a nationwide tour, but honestly, man, I'm very homesick. I'm very homesick. Every single time I leave South Florida for more than 10 days, I get very, very homesick, no matter what I'm doing. So, yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying my time away from home. I've been away from home for like 11 days now. Going to Vegas, LA didn't really go the way I wanted it to go, but Vegas I'm gonna make this Vegas trip really count. I'm gonna really make it count. I mean, you guys are gonna get so many interviews. You're gonna get sick to death of all the interview. Boxing Underboss TV. What's up, champ? He says, have I heard that AJ and Fury is official? That's what I'm hearing, but I haven't seen no fight poster yet. When I hear that, for me, until I hear the announcement from Eddie Hearn, DAZN, Matchroom Boxing, Top Rank, Bob Arum, Frank Warren, until I hear from those guys, there really is no reason for me to get excited about the fight yet because it's not happening. Straight up, it's not happening. Enrique Luna, what's good, champ? He said, what's good, Brendan? The Hornets and Warriors in the playoffs. I'll holler at you later. It's funny you mention the Warriors because I'm in Oakland right now. I'm at the Oakland airport right now on a layover. So shout out to the Warriors. Definitely. Hey, you mentioned the Hornets. Hold on, you mentioned the Hornets. You see what I got on? I got the Hornets jersey on under this. So shout out to the Hornets. Mr. 504. He's disrespecting. He's freaking. He said he's disrespecting Florida. He said there's nothing in Florida. Hey, don't disrespect Florida, champ. There's plenty of things in Florida. Just because you didn't see anything in Florida when you were there for the 2 days doesn't mean there's not things in Florida. There's plenty of things in Florida. Are you going to the Ramirez-Taylor fight? I'm gonna be in Vegas. I don't think I haven't been able to secure a ticket yet. But you know, I'm gonna definitely do some interviews. I'm definitely gonna get some stuff done while I'm there. Maybe I'll interview some of the Ramirez fans and the Taylor fans that are going. I got plans. I'll tell you guys what I have planned for Vegas. So I'm gonna be going to a couple of gyms. I'll probably be going to the Mayweather gym. I'm gonna be going to the City Athletic Boxing Club. I think at some point I'll be going to the Top Rank gym. I'll be going to a couple. I'm gonna be going to some gyms. So you just don't know what you're gonna see these next 2 weeks. I don't even know what I'm gonna see these next 2 weeks. So I know you guys won't. He wants to know if he can send me a screenshot boxing Underboss TV. Send it to me. I mean, send it to me. You know, send it to me on, email it to me, Instagram, all any of that stuff. Look, I'm gonna wait. With that fight, you guys gotta understand my skepticism. I'm just gonna wait. There's no reason for me to really sit here and get gassed up about, you know, Tyson Fury, he said the fights. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. When a fight has this much money at stake and this many hands in the proverbial cookie jar, you don't get excited. There's no reason to get excited when a fighter says something, because he only has so much say. The fight is on BoxRec. That doesn't mean anything. There's been plenty of fights that have been on BoxRec. That does not mean anything. Until I see the fight poster, until I see the official fight poster from Matchroom Boxing, Top Rank, all parties involved, the fight's not happening. That's how I'm gonna approach it. You ain't gonna get me excited and then pull the rug under me. It's not happening with this fight. He said, Mr. 504 said he used to live in Miami. Well, you didn't really get out much, because there's plenty of things to do in the Miami, South Florida area. You hating on Florida, man. They say they moved the TO fight to June 20th. Is this true? No, they moved it to June 19th. It's June 19th, just before June 20th. John Rocks, stay awesome, be creative. He says, Filipino, I'm watching from Milan, Italy. Salute, brother. What's up with Manny Pacquiao, bro? That's a good question, man. You know, it's funny you mentioned Manny Pacquiao. I just went to his gym, the Wild Card gym, you know, where they said it's closed till June 1st. I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad about that, man. I went to Wild Card gym. I was gassed up, and they had a sign that said it was closed. But Manny Pacquiao, I mean, look, last we heard of Manny Pacquiao, we were hearing talks about him fighting Crawford. They're saying Crawford didn't sign the contract. The fight fell apart. Now they're talking about Spence. That's not happening. Spence probably gonna fight Ugas. So I don't know what's going on with Manny Pacquiao. He's probably in the Philippines doing his senatorial duties, putting someone to death. He's not worried about boxing right now. But we'll see him when we see him. MTK Global and Frank Warren posted about Fury and Joshua. Did they really? I haven't been on Instagram. I deleted the Instagram app off my phone. So anything that's been posted in the last 10 to 12 hours, I haven't seen it, because I'm taking a break from social media. It's not good for the mind. I'm just taking a break from it. It's been messing with me recently. TBE Boxing. Teofimo's people should have kept the original date and used Mayweather as part of their promotion. Nah, it wouldn't have worked out. I don't think it would have worked out, because one thing I know about Miami and South Florida is that it's an event town, and while Teofimo Lopez is you know, it's an actual fight. The Floyd Mayweather fight is or the exhibition. It's a much bigger event, and people are gonna come out for that. You know, the high rollers are coming out for that. People who don't know shit about boxing are coming out for that fight. Everyone's coming out for that fight. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they could have, but you know, from a Triller standpoint of things, Triller just put $7 million. You gotta look at it from their side of things. Triller just put $7 million into this Teofimo Lopez fight, and they don't want to be going up against something as gargantuan and as big as Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Then that's not smart business. What's up, True School Sports? Do you have any idea what happened in the arbitration between Wilder and Fury? I have not the slightest clue. Not the slightest clue about what's going on with those guys. One thing I can tell you guys about boxing is whatever the fighters and whatever the promoters tell the public, just you take it with a grain of salt, because things are not always what they seem. Never. They're never what they seem in boxing. The more time that I spend in boxing and that I meet people in boxing and that I go to gyms and I learn fighters' personalities and I learn these managers and things like that, nothing is ever what it seems. So that's why I'm telling you, you don't get excited about these kind of things with Fury and Joshua until you see the fight poster. Until you see the fight poster with the venue, the TV contracts, all that stuff. Now I haven't been on social media. I haven't been on Instagram for like the last 12 hours. I don't plan on being on Instagram or anything for the next couple of days. But if there is some sort of fight poster, an official one being posted by the fighters and the promoters, then get excited about it, because the fight's happening. It was the same weekend, one on Friday, on Saturday. Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, if Floyd fights, it's gonna take away from the Lopez event. So it's smarter to do it on a completely different day. Triller did right by Teofimo Lopez by not having it on that day, because there's no way they can compete. The whole city of Miami, I'm telling you right now, when Floyd fights Logan Paul, the whole city of Miami in the greater South Florida area is going to be completely shut down. He's going to shut the city down when he comes. I'm telling you that right now. Floyd fought in Miami once early in his career when he fought Angel Man Freddy, but he wasn't Money Mayweather. He wasn't this like big star. He was just like on the come up. He was pretty boy. This will be the first time he fights in Miami as Money Mayweather, and I'm telling you right now, all the clubs, Ocean Drive, South Beach, it's going to be a movie. It's going to be absolutely insane. If Teofimo fought that week when Floyd was fighting, nobody would care. I'm telling you that right now. What do you think about Gabriel Ramirez versus Beterbiev or Bivol? Lalo Folks 94. That's a good fight. You know, Gabriel Ramirez needs some fight. I know he signed with Golden Boy a couple months ago, and that was one of the first fights they discussed. One of the first fights they discussed was Gilberto taking on Bivol, and I think that's the fight that needs to happen. That's the fight that needs to happen, because I feel like Bivol needs Gilberto needs Bivol. These are two guys that have had their careers stagnated for whatever reason, and you know, I think it'd be a great fight. You know, I think it's a fight that would sell well, like if you do it on the West Coast in like the Mexican populated area, because I think Gilberto will sell tickets. He'll move tickets. It'll be a big fight. So yeah, I'm all for that. As far as Beterbiev, I'm not against that either. You know, Beterbiev needs a big fight too, because there's only so many times he can fight this cannon fodder opposition and continue to get away with it. You know, I like Beterbiev as much as the next guy, but we're talking about almost 2 years since the Alexander Gvozdyk fight. So he has to move on with his career and get some momentum, because his career, look, I love Beterbiev, but his career, he never really seems to have like sustained momentum. Like he might get a big win here, he might have a dominant performance here, but if you really take the time and you sit back and you think about his career is just a career full of what if and what could have been and injuries and guys pulling out and guys ducking him and the stupid little workout videos where he's doing the crazy push-ups. I mean, he's got to get some sustained momentum, and like he's getting older. I don't remember his age at the moment, but I know he's an old guy, and there's a lot of wear and tear on that body of his. So hopefully Beterbiev can right this ship and get his career going. But shout out to everybody here, man. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable, True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Oakland Airport talking boxing, trying to kill some time on this layover. Shout out to my guys, Minimax Boxing and Black and Brown Boxing in the comments. Good to see you guys. Zurdo is fighting Sullivan Barrera, and someone said Bivol is in talks to fight with the MTK Golden Contract champion Richard Blotniks. Oh, I mean, Sullivan Barrera, that's a cool fight. You know, I like Sullivan Barrera. He's a South Florida. Technically, he's a South Florida fighter. He trains at Boca Power. I like him. I met him on a couple occasions. Very nice guy. Good fighter. Parlayed a nice career for himself considering where he came from. from the Andre Ward fight. But that fight, I mean, for Gilberto, it's cool, but like it's not doing a whole lot for me. He needs to fight somebody that's gonna get us like excited, get us gassed to see Gilberto Ramirez. Because when was the last time we saw Gilberto Ramirez like in a fight where we're like, yo, he's fighting this guy, Where do you think? What do you think Joey Spencer's potential is? Is he a world champion? I mean, look, you never know how these fighters are gonna develop. Joey Spencer's a talented kid. He was a talented amateur fighter. He's still transitioning into the pros, but I'll be honest with you, I don't really see him as a world champion type of fighter. I see him as a guy that maybe will crack the top 25, top 20, but I've never really been high on Joey Spencer like that. I just haven't. I haven't really seen anything that's blown me away with him, to be honest. Am I going to Taylor-Ramirez? No, I'm not going to Taylor-Ramirez. I'm just gonna be in Vegas with some friends, going around to some gyms, doing some interviews, trying to see who I can meet and network with. I wanted to go to Taylor-Ramirez. I have a friend going to Taylor-Ramirez, and maybe if they have the weigh-in there, I might go to the weigh-in if it's public. But other than that, no, I'm not going to Taylor-Ramirez. Tszyu is finally fighting Michael Zerafa. Who do I got? It's a good fight. Zerafa's really been improving himself at the 154-pound weight class. I'm gonna go with Zerafa. I'm gonna go with Tszyu. I like Tszyu in that fight. Tszyu showed me a lot in his last fight with Dennis Hogan. Dennis Hogan is a tricky operator at 154. A guy that's not easy to look good against. A guy that at 154 is just he's a really slick boxer. And people may think I'm crazy for saying this, but I look at Dennis Hogan as a world champion because I really thought he'd beat Jaime Munguia, and I thought it was clear for the world to see. So the way I see it, Tszyu went in there against a former world champion and beat the brakes off of him. Jaime Munguia didn't look that good against Dennis Hogan. Nobody looked that good against Dennis Hogan. Jamal Charlo at 160 in a higher weight class didn't look that good against Dennis Hogan. So I like the momentum Tszyu has going behind him. Good offensive fighter, looking for big things from him, in the future. And yeah, inactivity. You're seeing the value of activity in boxing because it's hurting every level of fighters. It's hurt guys that are world champions like Joshua Warrington. Bivol had a bad performance because of inactivity. Inactivity is killing a lot of these fighters, and it's killing the quality of these guys' performances. Look at Demetrius Andrade. He didn't have the best performance against Liam Williams. I mean, I thought he won against Liam Williams, but it wasn't a great performance. With Canelo, I mean, Canelo is one of the very few fighters in boxing who he's positioned himself in a way where he's a network free agent, so he's gonna make money. He can fight pretty much whenever he wants, who he wants. And because of that, he's been very active because of that, and he's a step ahead of everybody. But most fighters don't have their career set up that way. Did you think Billy Joe Saunders was giving Canelo work, or was Canelo not trying? No. What I said in my video was I gave Billy Joe 4 rounds in that fight. I thought 2 of those rounds he won because he was the better fighter in those particular rounds. And the other 2 rounds that he won, I believe Canelo Alvarez was kind of just being a bit passive so he can see what Billy Joe was giving him. And then seeing how he reacts to certain punches, certain feints. And that's how I saw the fight. True School, will you be attending the circus fight in Miami Gardens? Yes, I will. I'll be at that fight. I will be at Mayweather versus Logan Paul. I'm gonna be. A friend of mine got me a press pass. Shout out to my boy Freddie from Box Talk. He got me a press pass. So I'm going out there on behalf of him. Shout out to him. Yeah, Dennis Hogan. Jesus M wanted me to talk about Fulton versus Figueroa. So look, let's talk about it. Brandon Figueroa is coming off of a big win. Congrats to him. Very, very happy for him. Good performance against Louis Netty. Netty is a guy that a lot of people were gassing up. I never really, it's been a lot of years since I've really been gassed up on Louis Netty. After he beat Yamanaka and failed the drug test, and then started missing weight like every other fight, his career to me has been just one massive circus that never ends. So I'm glad that Brandon Figueroa put an end to the circus, and for that I'm a fan of him. But with that being said, I don't think Figueroa is beating Fulton, because look, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, so don't crucify me for it, but I think Fulton already defeated the best pressure fighter in this weight class, which is Angelo Leo. I think he beat the best pressure fighter there was in this weight class. I don't think there's anything that Brandon Figueroa can bring to Fulton in terms of pressure that he hasn't already seen from the likes of Adam Lopez and Angelo Leo. I think Fulton showed us a lot in that last fight. He was right in the wheelhouse of Angelo Leo. He beat him at his own game. He was throwing all kinds of piston-like jabs and just really hard body shots to break him down and neutralize him. Fulton, I give him a lot of credit, man, because I wasn't sold on him before that fight. I'm sold on him now. I'm definitely sold on him now. His resume before the Leo fight was pretty good. Then you guys know, to beat Angelo the way he did, all respect to him. All respect to him. Let me see who else we got. I see a lot of comments. Shout out to my man Rob87. How you doing, champ? You good? Eric says he had Canelo up 5-3 at the time of the knockout. But yeah, he had Hogan over Munguia as well. Okay, so I'm glad that we can all agree that Dennis Hogan beat Munguia. Let me see who else we got. BT, do you think Beterbiev will get a fight against Canelo before he gets old? No, I don't, but I'll be honest with you. And this is where I always throw people off, because everybody's like, oh, well, BT, True School is such a Canelo hater. I always say, if Canelo fights Artur Beterbiev, he'll beat the shit out of Artur Beterbiev. I think that's one of Canelo's easiest fights, stylistically.
Your attention, please.
Beterbiev is big, he's strong, he's physical, he's all these things. But one thing that Beterbiev is also, that nobody talks about, is he's also very, very chinny. And I feel like Canelo is too elusive, too smart, just too much of a complete fighter for Beterbiev at this point in his career. Now, if you would have asked me this question like 2 years ago, I probably would have said Beterbiev would have a great chance to beat Canelo. But now, with the seasoning he's been getting, I don't see it happening.
Thank you for your cooperation and for supporting.
True School, maybe when Edgar Berlanga reaches about 20-0, I will want to see him fight Canelo. But right now, I think Edgar is still a little green. I think so too. I think so too. I know Pops. I know there's that video of me and Pops at the Berlanga fight going nuts, and Pops is talking to the Puerto Rican fans, talking about the Canelo fight in the future. But yeah, he needs to take his time. I would like to see Berlanga fight like a Steve Nelson, David Lemieux, John Ryder, someone like that. Someone who's credible, someone that's really going to test him and get him some more rounds and get him some more experience in the professional ranks, because at the end of the day, that's what he needs. He doesn't need any more first-round knockouts. It was fun while it lasted, but, it's all about making him the best fighter possible. Fresh BX is on that Raïs Aleem bandwagon. Yeah, Raïs Aleem is good. Raïs Aleem is a very good fighter. He's someone that's definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think he's improving fight by fight. Much respect to Raïs Aleem. I would like to see maybe if Angelo Leo can win his next fight against Aaron Alameda, maybe that's a fight. Angelo Leo versus Raïs Aleem. Russell Smedley says, unpopular opinion, but I believe Caleb Plant has a good chance of beating Canelo, especially if he moves like we know he can. You know what? It's funny you say that, because while the Figueroa versus Nettie fight was going on, I didn't even watch the card. I still haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it when I get to Vegas. I was actually doing some film study on Caleb Plant. That's all I was doing. I was watching Caleb Plant fights, Caleb Plant tapes, Caleb Plant interviews, just really getting deep on Caleb Plant, because that's the fight that I'm very excited for. That's the fight that, a lot of people have told me Caleb Plant has no chance. So I wanted to see for myself if he has no chance. And honestly, people were saying that Caleb Plant's the same fighter as Billy Joe. And, it's been a while since I really watched Caleb Plant fight. So I went back and I was revisiting his fights against Vincent Feigeboots and Uskatigi and Mike Lee and all these guys that he fought. And to me, Caleb Plant is a night and day difference from Billy Joe in terms of speed, sharpness, quickness, movement, size, reach. Different beasts altogether. Mentality. I'm not saying that Caleb Plant will even beat Canelo. But I'm not gonna lie to you. The more I watch Caleb Plant's fights, and the more I really get into the interviews and I hear him talk, and just know I met him before, so I know how he thinks. It's not far fetched that Caleb Plant could beat Canelo. You know, I think if Caleb Plant fights to his best, he's good enough. If he puts it all together, he'll give Canelo Alvarez PTSD of fighting Floyd. I really think so. You know, Billy Joe was a good, credible fight, but this is a fight where I think he could legitimately lose. To be honest, the only thing that might hinder Caleb Plant is that he doesn't have the experience or the seasoning to probably deal with a guy like Canelo at this point in his career. But you know what? I'm of the mindset that I think that he believes in himself enough to fight Canelo at the stage of his career. So if he believes in himself at this point, then you can't really make that kind of excuse. Oh man, shout out to everybody here, man. Thank you guys for helping me pass some time, because just these layovers suck. You know, normally when I fly, I don't really come out to the West Coast a lot. And normally when I fly, I don't really like fly West Coast, so I don't do these layover flights. It's not something that I'm accustomed to. I'm always hitting these direct flights. So this is all new to me. Yeah, Arthur Beterbiev got dropped by Callum Johnson, and there was a fight. I can't remember the opponent's name, but I watched a fight of his from it was like his 12th fight or something like that when he was in Canada. Some no-name dropped him badly. He was hurt badly. He's chinny. I'm telling y'all, it doesn't get talked about enough. Arthur Beterbiev is extremely chinny. If I was Canelo, I would take that fight, because he would beat Beterbiev. Kevin Effect says, Canelo is weird to me. I don't know why he didn't get that last belt at 160 to become undisputed at 160. Oh, it's because Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, there were some problems there. That's why. You know, it wasn't because there was another fighter there that he couldn't beat, because clearly, you know, we know Canelo can beat everybody. He's the most perfect person to roam the earth since Jesus Christ himself. I think Jaime Munguia will knock out Selecki. You know, he might, and that would definitely be a statement. You know, it's a good fight for Munguia at this point in his career, because this is a guy in Selecki who's proven himself at world level. Never quite got over the hump at world level, but gave Daniel Jacobs all he could handle. Gave what's his name? And fought Demetrius Andrade. You know, he lost every round to him, but he was there with him. So this would be a good measuring stick for Munguia. It's the kind of fight he needs at this stage of his career. It would be a real statement if he knocked him out, because I don't think he's been stopped. Mark Pinkerton says, Canelo versus Joe Smith at Yankee Stadium, Union Joe. That would be crazy. I would love to see a boxing match in Yankee Stadium. True School, I seen an interview with Canelo's old enemy Ryan Rhodes, and Rhodes said in the interview a few days ago that he believes Canelo Alvarez is heavy-handed enough to go up to cruiserweight and win a world title. You know, at this point, I don't put anything past Canelo. You know, he's on a hell of a run right now. Cruiserweight is incredibly weak, so I'm sure there will be a fighter there that he can match up well with that does get a title. You know, I don't think he'll fight like a Lawrence Okoli, but who knows? You know what? He's beating so many British fighters already. Why not try to beat up the sauce? If Canelo fights Lawrence Okoli, that might be one of the few times you see me root for Canelo, because I don't like Lawrence Okoli, because he beat my friend. So I'll be going for Canelo if they fight. There's major differences, and this is from my guy Joe. He says there's major differences between Billy Joe Saunders and Plant. Plant is a natural 168 fighter, and he's not past his prime like Billy Joe. Exactly, he's not. You know, all credit to Billy Joe. You know, I thought his fight against Canelo, that was his best performance at 168, because his performances leading up to the Canelo fight were trash. The Usufi fight, the Martin Murray fight, all these fights weren't that good. But in the Canelo fight, he showed up to win. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Canelo broke his damn eye socket, and you know, maybe that's the end of his career. But I don't know if Billy Joe really thought he could win, to be honest with you, because he tried the mind games. That didn't work. You know, It was fun to watch. It made for a good build-up, but if you really believe in yourself, you're not gonna sit there and be playing all these mind games with Canelo. Now, I'll be honest with you, they worked for a little bit in that fight because he was making a miss, and Canelo, for a very brief moments in that fight, did look a bit frustrated. He had to show the extra bit of quality to finish off Billy Joe, but at the end of the day, the better fighter won, and that was Canelo. Now, Caleb Plant, this is a guy that I truly believe when he says that you gotta dig a grave as a fighter before you go to the ring, and that you have to carry him out and he'll die in the ring. I actually believe him. I didn't believe Billy Joe when he said it, to be honest with you. I wanted him to win, but I never really believed him. Caleb Plant, I believe. A reason I believe him is because of things that have happened in his life, like with his daughter dying, things like that. Those kind of things make fighters go to deep, dark, uncomfortable places they don't want to go, that most fighters won't go to. And Caleb Plant, for better or for worse, he's an American. And one thing I can say about the American fighters is that we're just a little bit we're a little bit different than the Brits. No disrespect to the Brits, but like most of the British fighters are very civilized, and sometimes they show their opponents too much respect. And you've heard Caleb Plant in these interviews. He hasn't shown Canelo any respect. He said pretty much, look, Canelo can't fuck with me. And it's not like, look, Billy Joe was disrespectful to Canelo, but it was disrespect to mask him fighting on this big stage that he's never been on. I feel like when Caleb Plant says these things, he really believes them. So we'll see. We'll see, man. I think Caleb Plant is one of the toughest fighters out there, and people are really disrespecting him when they think that Canelo Alvarez is just going to go in there and steamroll him. It's not happening. This is a guy in Caleb Plant. I know you can point to his resume and say that he hasn't fought this guy and he hasn't fought that guy, and that's fair. That's a fair point. I'm not going to argue with you. His resume it's not that good, but at the same time, he's barely ever lost rounds. Like, if you watch Caleb Plant's fights, he barely loses rounds. Period. He barely loses rounds. This guy's maybe lost in his whole career. He's probably lost about 5 or 6 rounds his entire career. I think stylistically he gives Canelo a lot of problems. We saw in that fight Billy Joe Saunders give him problems, and all Billy Joe Saunders had was just upper body movement, and he was a little bit slick. Caleb Plant, this is a guy that has quicker feet. He throws body punches. He's sharper. Why? I don't see, if people have really taken the time to watch him fight and they know about boxing, I don't see why so many people are so quick to write him off as like the easiest fight Canelo's had at 168. Because people have been saying that. I've been seeing a lot of people disrespecting him, saying that people say that Caleb Plant is the easiest fight for him out of all these guys he's fought at 168. And that's just not true. The easiest fight for him at 168 was the first one he had against Callum Smith. That was the easiest one. This one, stylistically, is the hardest one, if you want to keep it a buck. Joey Rizzo, he says, yep, Canelo's pull counter uppercut was crisp. Once people feel Canelo's power, they get real scared. They get scared. Yeah. Bivol and GGG. By the way, shout out to Slotello. He says Bivol and GGG with Eddie Hearn. Yeah, Eddie Hearn out here doing interviews saying some of his British club level fighter beat Bivol and GGG. Eddie Hearn loves them trash club fighters. He does. And what's crazy is, I'll give credit to Craig Richards. Craig Richards put up a good fight against Bivol, but if Craig Richards would have fought a active match fit Bivol, he would have got the shit kicked out of him. Craig Richards, in my opinion, already lost, and he got a good decision when he fought Andre Sterling. Andre Sterling beat Craig Richards, and I'm still mad about that. So Eddie Hearn be gassing up some of these British club level fighters to no end, and eventually they lose. Caleb Plant will die for this boxing. I believe he will, because Caleb Plant in a lot of ways I respect him, and I can relate to him, because he's a lot like your boy BT. He's a lot like me. Caleb Plant always says boxing's all I ever had. This is all I ever have. This is all I've ever had, and this is all I will ever have. So he's put all of his eggs into this boxing game, and it's paid off for him. He's IBF super middleweight champion. He's parlayed it into a nice career for himself. He's made good money. he's gonna make more good money from this fight. But for him, I don't really think it's about the money. When I hear him talk, when I hear the way he conducts himself, I don't think this is about money for Caleb Plant. I don't think he gives a damn about the Canelo payday. Obviously, it's great. He's gonna enjoy it. I'm sure he'll go on some nice vacations with his wife, Jordan Plant, the lovely Jordan Plant. But I don't think it matters to him in the grand scheme of things. I think he really wants to show the world that he's one of the best fighters out there. Because you got to understand with Caleb Plant, right? This is a guy. Let's just keep it a buck here. This is a guy that he's a country white boy from Tennessee in a predominantly minority-dominated sport. That's just a fact. That is a fact. So for Caleb Plant to even exist in boxing, he has to be this supremely confident person. So a lot of the things that he says that sound delusional to you guys, he has to say these things, and he has to truly believe it in the deepest core of his soul. Because if he doesn't, he would have never got to where he got to in boxing. Because I'm pretty sure when he was fighting, before he became a national Golden Gloves champion, people were telling Caleb Plant, ain't no white boy from Tennessee gonna become a national Golden Gloves champion. He did that. Then when he got to the pros, they said, oh well, this little white boy from Tennessee, he won't become world champion. He did that. He's been having to deal with people saying he wasn't going to be shit for his entire boxing career. And you think that this guy, Caleb Plant, is just going to, show up to the Canelo fight and like some of his other opponents and just act like he's happy to be there? No, man. This guy's going to come, and I believe he's going to be willing to die in the ring. And as far as I'm concerned, the way I see this fight for Caleb Plant, or for Canelo, is, obviously I want Canelo Alvarez to fight Demetrius Andrade. That's the fight I really want to see. You guys know that. That's the fight I want to see. We're not going to get it. So, with that being said, I look at this Caleb Plant fight for Canelo Alvarez as the toughest stylistic matchup for him since stylistically, I think it's a tougher fight for him than Triple G. I do. Triple G was a perfect fight for Canelo, because even though I thought he lost both fights, don't get it twisted, I thought Canelo lost both Triple G fights, but stylistically, it's a fight that was more advantageous to him because Triple G's going to be in his face, he's going to be able to be hit, and Canelo can implement what he wants to do better against Triple G and more effectively against Triple G with less resistance than he will against Caleb Plant. That's just my opinion. Let me see. Oh my God, I'm getting a lot of interesting comments, so I'm gonna get to you guys. If I haven't got your comment yet, be patient. I'm gonna skip over a couple of these. Edward Scott says, and by the way, shout out to Edward Scott. I don't think I've seen you in the comments in a minute, man. Good to see you. He says, BT, where are you off to? Right now, champ, I'm on a layover flight. I just flew from Los Angeles to Oakland. I'm in Oakland now. I'm going to Las Vegas for the next 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm going home to South Florida for the Floyd Mayweather fight. So just staying busy, man. Just trying to give you guys the best content I can and keep the channel going, keep boxing going, keep the streets fed. It's a lot of great things happening in my life and in boxing. I don't have everything I want in life, but I have this. And you know what? That goes back to what I was saying about Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant reminds me a lot of myself because boxing's all he's ever had. Boxing's all he ever wanted. He put all of his eggs into this basket. And it's like me, right? It's like me. I'm not a fighter per se in terms of being a professional fighter, but as far as covering the sport of boxing, this is all I had. I've put everything into this. And I bet on myself the way Caleb Plant bets on myself. So when I listen to him speak, I see a lot of myself. So I'm rooting for him. I want to see him do well. Iceman Cometh, good to see you, Chad. Says, did you see that ESBC announced the Riddick Bowl in the game? I was happy to see that. I hope to see Holyfield somewhere down the line. You should do a ESBC episode 3 reaction. I am, and I was. That's actually a video I've been meaning to get to about Riddick Bowe being in the game. That's what we want to see. I'm glad they got a hold of Riddick Bowe. I don't know how much I helped play a role in that, if I played any role in that, but I'm happy to see him in the game. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing a video on that soon. Shout out to ESBC. Shout out to all the fine folks over there. Hopefully the game is great because I'm gonna buy it, and I look forward to playing the game with you guys when it comes out. Caleb Plant went life and death with Caleb Truex. Then he made excuses about his sweet hands. Come on, BT, stop the cap. He won almost every round. What are you talking about? He won like, he got hit a couple times, okay, but it's a fight. Like, that's one thing about boxing fans. You know, this happens a lot in boxing. You know, you get a fight that's not looked at to be very competitive going in, so that people assume that the guy that was the favorite should never get hit. But it's a fight. You're going to get hit. So I'm not going to hold Caleb Plant for a lackluster. I'm not going to get mad at him for a performance that wasn't his best. You know, I'm gonna agree with Andre Ward. Andre Ward said after that fight that Caleb Plant's a money fighter. That he's a guy that I forgot the term he used, but basically Andre Ward said that Caleb Plant's the type of fighter that when the bigger the fight is, the better he'll fight. So like Caleb Truex, that's not a big fight. You know, this is gonna be with Caleb with Canelo. He knows what's at stake, so he'll be better. That's my opinion. Wiggity split. It's funny. True School, I've been subscribed to you since 2015. Jesus. All right, so shout out to you. He's an OG. He's an OG subscriber. So that means he can remember back when I was doing basketball videos. He says, by the way, I've spoken to you before over the years, and trainer Joel Diaz is a good friend of mine since 2015, and Marcos from Fight Hub, and we DM each other all the time on Instagram. That's what's up, man. I have no clue what the heck that has to do with me, but that's dope. Good to see you, champ. Thank you for commenting. And yeah, man, I appreciate just you staying along for the ride, man. It's been a long time. I've come a long way since 2015, so I appreciate you that you're still here, man. Wow, so many comments. Eric Dombrowski says some of the shots Truex was connecting on Caleb Plant. Imagine if Benavidez or Canelo shots are connected like that. I mean, look, man, I don't like talking like about boxing like that because sometimes, look, fighters mentally are different from fight to fight. So the shots that Truex landed against Caleb Plant in that fight, they probably won't even be there when he fights Canelo because he's not going to be that same fighter when he fights Canelo. He'll be more switched on and be sharper. But I get what you're saying. Like, you guys are saying that the fight's not competitive because he didn't look good against Caleb Truex. Caleb Truex is no bum. Caleb Truex is a former world champion. He's the guy that he knocked out James DeGale to become world champion. You know, so like let's not talk about Caleb Truex like he's chopped liver. He's a solid fighter. Joey Rizzo says, I really think Billy Joe really prepared for Canelo, for Caleb Plant to make it easy. Oh, you're set. Wow. So you're saying that, nah. I see what you're saying, but I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. I think Billy Joe, in terms of his slickness, that's the only thing that's kind of similar. He's slick and he's a southpaw. The fact that he's slick, that's the only thing similar to him with Plant. Plant is sharper. Plant throws body shots. Plant's a natural 168. He's longer. He's taller. It's a tougher fight. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to Exodus Boxing Club. Shout out to my boy Felipe. This is his cap that he gave to me. It's a new amateur gym starting out in Dallas, Texas. I was just at the Fort Worth Golden Gloves to support them while I was there. So shout out to Coach Moses Molina and my boy Felipe and Ramon for the gym they're starting up. They're doing some great things in the community. I'm fully behind them. You know, I'm representing my two favorite amateur gyms right now. I got the Davey Powell hoodie as always. My favorite amateur gym in Florida. My favorite amateur gym in Texas. So shout out to them both. Black Magic Genetics. He always has funny comments. He says, I'm jealous right now, I admit. I thought all the members of Anar Islam are... Damn. Thank you, man. Yeah, no, I'm very blessed. Listen, I don't have the most money in the world or anything like that, but I'm definitely the most blessed and fortunate person on the face of the earth when it comes to covering the sport of boxing. You know, I might not have the most subscribers, might not have the most views, but I get blessed in so many other ways beyond my own comprehension. It's ridiculous. So shout out to God. Dennis Dennis TV says, I'm so happy on the undisputed fight. It's on. Wow. So wait, are y'all really telling me that this is not a drill? This is not a drill. Fury versus Joshua is actually happening. It's really happening. Yo, Fury versus Joshua is happening. This isn't a drill. Ashton Kutcher's not over there somewhere. He's not gonna punk me. This is really happening. Yeah, it's happening, man. If it's really happening, that's great for boxing. I gotta check later on to see that this is not a drill. Wilder is now saying the reason he fired Mark Brilliant is because Brilliant and JD's were involved in a Shelby match after the second Fury fight. Listen, I'm not gonna give no more gasoline or attention to that. We've talked about Brilliant and Wilder enough. I've said what I said about that. True School Sports, if Benavidez fought Caleb Plant, who would win? That'd be a great fight. I don't know. I'll lean towards Benavidez. Russell Smelly says, you got to come to Michigan, big dog. I've never gone to Michigan, which is pretty crazy because I have a lot of people some of my best friends in boxing are all from Detroit, like Jesse Robinson, Stacey McKinley. You know, I've met Sugar Hill. So I feel like I've already been to Detroit, even though I haven't. Shout out to your channel, bro. Stay strong and keep grinding, bro. You got to come out to Nairobi, Kenya. Oh, my God. It's way out there. I'm going to need to get my subscriber count a little bit higher before I go out to there, champ. But yeah, I'll love to go visit everywhere, man. The whole globe, you know. This traveling, it's a bit exhausting, but it's rewarding because I get to tell people back home about my experiences and stuff. And it gives me a greater appreciation of where I'm from in South Florida because I truly believe that God bless me, and I live in the greatest region and the greatest part of the world, in my opinion, but I'm biased. Dennis says, this is not a drill. This is not a drill. The fight is actually happening. Wow, it's actually... Wow. This shit's really happening. This shit is really... Wow. Fury versus Joshua is actually happening. Tyson Fury gonna beat the shit out of that dude. When it happens, listen, if it's happening and this is not a drill, I'm gonna check after this live is over so I can confirm it. But if this is happening, it's not a drill. Get the body bags ready. Get the body bag ready for Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury gonna beat the hell out of that dude when they fight. Tyson Fury in 6 rounds. August 14th. I've heard that date thrown around. That was the date that Fury threw around. But listen. Tyson Fury in 6. Anthony Joshua don't know what's coming. Anthony Joshua can come with all that philosophical stuff talking about, you know, less talk, more action. Let's talk more action. We're going to see, champ. We're going to see, champ. Tyson Fury going to iron this fool out. Fresh BX says Tyson Fury hasn't been active. That's okay. He's probably one of the only fighters in boxing that could be inactive. And it's not going to affect him. You know? He's that damn good. He's that damn good. He's that damn strong. His mind in the boxing ring is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. And when he says that there's not a man born from his mother that could beat him, and he's training like it now with Sugar Hill Stewart, I believe him. Ain't none of these heavyweights beating Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury gonna beat the shit out of Anthony Joshua. Get the body bag ready. And now you got Tyson Fury training in South Florida. Oh, get the body. Ooh. Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. I'm ready to go. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua gonna be a ridiculous fight. We talking hell. I'm gonna start talking hellish shit, man. I like AJ. It's happening. I like AJ. I like Fury. I'm a fan of both fighters, but I'm a bigger fan of Fury. So I'm just happy that it's happening. If it's the case, I know. Listen, all these terms and dates you guys are throwing out there, I've heard of them all. I know that they're saying the site fee's 155. I know they're saying August 14th the date. I just want to know where's the fight poster. In the comments down below, let me know if you guys have seen if there's an official fight poster with the date, venue, and time and network. Let me know, because unless we got that, I don't believe it's happening. Stop. Don't play on my emotions, man. Don't play on my emotions. because I want to see the fight. If it doesn't happen, I'm okay too. Because honestly, to me, the fight that I really wanted to see already happened this year. I got to see Chocolatito versus Strada 2. They're probably gonna do the trilogy in September, from what I hear. So, to me, in my mind, in my little mind, you know, that's the biggest fight in boxing in my mind, because that's the fight I want to see. But if this fight happens, amazing, great to win for boxing. If it doesn't, then like I'm not too bothered about it. John Carlo Leo says, can George Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez in your opinion? He can beat Teofimo Lopez. I don't think he will, but I think he can. I went live like a month ago, I think it was, about a month ago, and I was live for like an hour talking about how I believe that this fight for Lopez is a trap fight. You know, I think Lopez will beat him. I think because he's just much more talented than him. In order for Kambosos to win this fight, I feel like Lopez has to have a colossal letdown, you know. But I think George is preparing hard enough to give himself the best chance to win. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, there's a lot of things going on with Lopez, with Triller, with this fight being at Marlins Park. He's being basically crowned as boxing's next superstar with this fight. So with that being said, I wanna hope and pray that Teofimo's at his best. But look, people always say, look, and I wanna camp out on Kambosos for a second. Okay, with Kambosos, people say he's garbage and he lost his fight against Lee Selby. And anybody who's saying that doesn't know what the hell they're watching. They don't know what the hell they're watching. George Kambosos showed a lot in the Lee Selby fight. Lee Selby's a guy that's a former world champion, good boxer, went on the road to his backyard in England, and you know, he showed in that fight, he showed some really good counter-punching abilities. He's shown a good gas tank in all of his fights. He's showing durability. He's shown a lot of things, and I think people are so fixated on Lopez fighting Haney and Garcia and Tank and all these mega fights, which is good, but because people are comparing Kambosos to those guys and what they can do in the ring, they're discrediting him and what he can do in the ring. And he brings a lot to the table. This is a guy that's very strong-minded. This is a guy that's put in over 400 rounds of sparring with Manny Pacquiao. He's grinded his way from nothing, fighting on these club shows in Australia. He paid money out of his own pocket, bet on himself when he was 10-0 to come to the States and get sparring with the best fighters in the world, like Jose Ramirez and guys like that at the Wild Card Gym. George Kambosos has tested himself. George Kambosos has bet on himself. George Kambosos, when he was 10-0 and he took the money out of his pocket and started traveling and going to get the best work in the world, sparring-wise, he's doing what I'm doing right now. Right now, I just traveled to Texas. I'm traveling to LA. I'm traveling to Las Vegas now. I'm spending money I don't even got because I believe in myself. I truly believe I'm the best in the YouTube box community when it comes to delivering content, interviews, and I'm putting myself in the places where the best fighters and the biggest names in the world are. And we're gonna get all the best interviews. You know, we're gonna get all the biggest and best interviews, and people are gonna know about True School Sports. So anyway, I don't want to go off on a long tangent, but like George Kambosos has a chance to win this fight. Yes. Yeah, you know what? Listen, y'all, you guys are not gonna get me. You guys are not gonna play up my emotions with this whole Fury Joshua thing, because I'm live on my phone right now, so I can't check it on my phone. But when I get off of this phone, if I check it and I don't see an official fight poster, I'm gonna be very mad at you guys. Very mad. Who does Demetrius Andrade fight next? Jaime Munguia? Well, I've been in constant contact with his father, Paul Andrade. Paul Andrade calls me every day. I think Paul Andrade has called me every day, one time at least since Thursday, the Thursday of the Canelo fight week. We talk almost every day, me and Paul Andrade. And Paul Andrade stated to me in other platforms, but he stated to me first before any other platform, that it looks like the next fight for him will probably be Chris Eubank Jr. in the UK. That's what I've been told by him. Hopefully it happens, you know. It's not the best matchup, but, you know, honestly, if you guys take the time and go look at the middleweight division outside of the champions, there's not a whole lot of credible options that Boo Boo could fight that would be an attractive fight for the networks. Like, if you go to the top 15 of the WWBO, there's not a lot of names that you recognize. Like, I challenge anybody Go to the top 15 of the WBO and go look at who's in the top 15 and tell me who Demetrius Andrade could fight in that top 15 that he wouldn't get crucified for fighting. It's a good fight, you know. It's a good fight in the UK. It'll sell well. Eubanks is coming off of a win against Marcus Morrison. He got Roy Jones Jr. in this corner. Boo Boo's, you know, coming off of the whole Canelo thing. Why not? It's a good fight. Jaime Munguia, as far as Munguia, that fight will never happen. Munguia is fighting Sulecki. And I think Munguia and Golden Boy Promotions are waiting for Boo Boo to move up to 168 so they can fight for the vacant belt. So they can fight like they can fight an opponent like a Kanat Islam or Johnny Beck Amnum Conley. Those are the kind of guys that they're looking at fighting. Lara, I mean, look, I've actually brought that up to I brought that up to Paul Andrade. I believe it's somewhere. It should be somewhere in our interview. If you guys go listen to the whole Paul Andrade interview I did last week or whenever I did it, I brought up Lara and he said that they would be more than willing to. They'll be more than willing to fight Lara. So, you know, set it up. If y'all want to see Boo Boo versus Lara, then it's up to the fans to campaign for it. All the boxing fans, you know, don't go on there saying, well, what has Demetrius Andrade done to deserve to fight with Lara? You know, make that fight happen. That'd be a good fight. I'd love to see that fight happen. Obviously, they were trying to get a fight done years ago. Some people said Lara ducked Boo Boo. Some people say Boo Boo ducked Lara. I don't really give a damn. I just want to see these fights happen. Nah, we're going to find out a lot about Chris Eubank Jr. because, you know, Chris has been with Roy Jones Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. has long been a fighter that has been getting a lot of hype from the UK media, and it's his chance to show the world that he's one of the best fighters out there. And look, I'll tell you right now, if Eubank actually somehow beats Demetrius Andrade, which I don't think he will, but if he does, he'll become Canelo fans' favorite fighter. They'll love this dude forever because the last thing they want is for Demetrius Andrade to fight Canelo. You know, I can't. Every day in my comments, I always get comments from Canelo fans saying, "Payday, you want payday?" I know this. You want payday? You want payday? Mr. Jones says, "Hey, do you know Raphael Dawkins?" I do know Raphael Dawkins. I've met Raphael in 2019 when I was in the UK. We went to a McDonald's in Birmingham, and we did a video together. Shout out to Raphael Dawkins. I like him. He says Dawkins is a proper Anthony Joshua fangirl. Hey, he does love Anthony Joshua. He does love Anthony Joshua. Oh, you watched the video, man. So why you asking me these questions you know the answer to? Of course I know Raphael Dawkins. Listen, man. When it comes to the YouTube boxing community, it's not a matter of if I know someone. It's do they know me? Because I'm aware of everybody here. I know everybody. I've been around for a while. I'm pretty much at this point a young OG of the YouTube boxing community. So anybody you can name, for the most part, I've had an interaction with at some point. You know, I've met Dante's Box Nation. I've met Barbershop Conversations. I've met a lot of Ellie. I met Ellie. I met Radio Raheem. I met T Street. I met a lot of these guys. It's amazing how active Canelo is. I love it. Finally, someone wants to unify some middleweight belts. It is, but at the same time, you know, that's the one thing that's the one thing I will give Canelo the most credit for, because, and I'll tell you why. Canelo Alvarez is in a position where he can pretty much call the shots. So, like, if he wanted to fight 2 times a year or 1 time a year in a big fight, he could do that, and he'd be well within his rights to do that because he makes the most money of any fighter in boxing, except maybe Anthony Joshua. He's the biggest draw on this side of the pond, without a shadow of a doubt. And he's a network free agent, which means that he has the power to go fight on Fox. He can go fight on DAZN, which he's been doing. He can go fight on any platform he wants. So he's in 100% control of his boxing career, and he's done a great job staying active. So that's the one thing I will give him the most credit for is staying active. A lot of fighters right now, they don't have it that way. They don't have it that way to where they're gonna sell 10,000 plus tickets at worst if they fight anybody. Canelo's one of the only fighters in boxing that can do that at this point. So because fighters don't have that kind of bargaining power with their promoters and with their careers, unfortunately, they're inactive, and a lot of fighters suffering from ring rust. But I'll give Canelo his credit because he's inactive as hell. He has the right to be inactive, but he's doing the polar opposite. So I wish he fight better people, but he's staying active.
Stop spreading germs. Please keep 6 feet at distance from others when waiting for your bags or gathering in any area of the airport.
Shout out to everybody here, by the way. Make sure y'all smash that like button. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire, live from the Oakland airport, waiting for just killing some time. As a big Canelo fan, I seriously do hope he fights Boo Boo Andrade. Just to shut him up, Canelo destroys him, in my opinion. Absolutely not. Canelo Alvarez is scared shitless of Demetrius Andrade. He don't want that smoke. He don't want that smoke, man. He don't want that smoke, man. If he wanted to fight him, he would have fought him a long time ago. We all know why he doesn't want to fight him. We know and listen. And when I say he's scared shitless of Demetrius Andrade, let me clarify what I mean so I don't get taken out of context. He's not scared of him because he's gonna get knocked out or like anything like that or his punching power. I don't think Canelo is afraid of Demetrius Andrade. I think Canelo Alvarez is afraid of what a fight against Demetrius Andrade could do to his brand. Because right now, Canelo Alvarez is, in boxing, he seems to be untouchable. He has this aura of invincibility because of how the networks are marketing him, who he's fighting, and how he's looking in these fights. And Demetrius Andrade's the one fight that even if he wins, like, look, if Canelo were to beat Demetrius Andrade, let's say he just beats him, he wouldn't look good. He would not look good doing it. You guys thought he looked bad against Billy Joe in those middle rounds. He looked worse against Demetrius Andrade because Demetrius Andrade is a southpaw. He's taller, he's rangier, he punches harder, and he's more awkward. So I'm just telling you, man. It's all business. These are all business decisions by Canelo to not fight him. It all comes down to that. A fight against him, win or lose, could potentially devalue his brand. And right now, Canelo Alvarez is one of the only fighters in boxing that is a brand. And every fight he takes and has, it's about enhancing that name and enhancing that brand.
Please make your way to gate 9 immediately. Thank you.
Fresh BX says, no matter what Canelo does, I will never respect his career because I see exactly what he's doing. He can fight, though. And I'm on the same line of thought with Fresh BX, he can definitely fight. Believe it or not, I actually enjoy watching him fight. That's why I hate when he pulls this diva shit with Boo Boo Andrade, because I had to call a spade. But I like watching him fight. I had a good time at the fight, and I'm sure I'll go to more Canelo fights because I go to everybody's fights. So that's why I find it funny when these Canelo fans are saying True School hates Canelo, but he went to his fight. Well, last time I checked, was Canelo the only fighter on that card? Because truthfully speaking, I was really a lot more excited for the co-main event. I had a chance to watch the legend himself fight in person, Kasanori Takayama. That's what I was really there to see my boy Takayama. One of my favorite fighters that Chocolatito ever fought. One of my favorite Chocolatito fights was Takayama versus Chocolatito versus Takayama is one of my favorite fights of all time. So to see him fight in person was just a pleasure for me, and to see the performance he put up against Elwin Soto, inactive, smaller guy coming up in weight. He was losing the fight, but he gave a great account of himself, and that was an epic fight, and I think the referee Lawrence Cole did a big disservice by stopping the fight. But shout out to Takayama. I'm just happy that he got people got to see who he was, and he had his moment in the sun. Here we go, the Canelo fan. He says Canelo doesn't need to fight any of these dudes. Canelo is making his own history. Yeah, fighting Avni Yildirim and fighting, Callum Smith. He says, tell these dudes to fight each other and make their own legacy. Listen, when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, I would love for these guys to fight him. I've campaigned. Listen, I want to see Demetrius Andrade fight Charlo. Charlo said he blackballed him. I want to see him fight Munguia. Munguia's been in the #1 spot for over a year. He hasn't showed any interest in fighting him. Golovkin doesn't want to do anything except sit on his hands and collect the stimulus check from Canelo if Canelo ever calls. I want these guys to fight each other. I'm not against that. So I don't know why you're coming over here with that nonsense. I'm a boxing fan. I'm a true boxing fan, like a real boxing fan. I'm not someone who cares about A side, B side. I used to get involved in that kind of stuff. I don't care about that shit no more. I just want to see these fights happen. So, absolutely. J. Lil Park says, was this your first time seeing the great Lawrence Cole in person too? Fair play to Takayama, give a great account of himself against Soto. Yeah, this was my first time seeing Lawrence Cole in person. I never want to see that dude again. He was trash. He was absolute trash. I like how Blue Corner Boxing is just typing in all caps. He says Boo Boo needs to clean up his own division rather than seek Canelo. You do realize Canelo was in that division not too long ago, and they could have fought for undisputed. Like I hate to be Mr. Obvious, but like, listen, Golovkin don't want to fight him because Golovkin trying to fight Murata. That's a known fact. Golovkin. It's a known fact. If you're really up in your boxing, Golovkin is gonna fight Murata more than likely on New Year's Eve. So he's not gonna fight till December. He hasn't fought since last December. He's not gonna fight till this December. So we're talking about a year of inactivity from Golovkin. He'd rather fight Murata and wait a whole year to fight than fight Demetrius Andrade or anybody else for that matter. We just want to see these fights happen. Like, y'all need to stop saying like you boxing fans or people that say Demetrius Andrade needs to clean up his whole division. What do you think he wants to do? What do you think he's been trying to do since he got a belt? He's been trying to do that. But every time it comes time to make one of these big fights happen, it's always an issue. It's always an issue. I understand early in his career, there was the whole Charlo situation and Derevyanchenko and these things. He had some horrible people behind him in his career. And he made some really horrible, just piss poor business decisions that have come back to hurt him. But that's in the past. You know, he's now aligned himself with one of the biggest power brokers in the sport, Eddie Hearn, and the fights still aren't happening. So is that his fault too? Are you gonna blame him for that too? AJ will retire Fury on his stool, sadly. Man, you guys are talking some big shit. Listen, I'm telling y'all right now, AJ don't got nothing for Fury. I'm telling y'all right now, AJ don't got nothing for Tyson Fury. If that fight happens, because I'm going to keep saying if, because you guys are not getting me. I haven't checked social media yet. You guys are not going to get me going. It's a fact that you're only as good as your last fight, and Boo Boo did not look good. Absolutely not. That's not how you judge fighters. That's a problem that people who don't understand boxing, which is 99% of the general population, you don't judge fighters that way, because anybody who knows anything about boxing understands that there's only a handful of fighters in the history of boxing that on a fight-by-fight basis are always way up here as far as performance. It's only a handful of guys like that are this great every fight. Guys like Mayweather, Pacquiao, Chocolatito, but it's few and far between. So I never judge fighters out the last fight, because I understand that sometimes you have style matchups that force fighters to not look good. Sometimes the fighter's coming off of a long layoff. Sometimes there's a whole lot of factors that could go into why a fighter didn't have had a bad performance. I always look at the styles. And that's how I judge fights. I judge fights before they happen on the styles. I pick who I think is going to win based on the style matchup. And, yeah. You're saying, and the funny thing is, look, everybody says Boo Boo didn't look good his last fight. He won. He won. I was there in person, okay? I was there about 10 feet from the ring, 50 feet from the ring. Boo Boo Andrade won like 9, maybe 10 rounds, and he got a knockdown. Is that, now, if you're on this channel, that means you know at least a little bit about boxing. If somebody wins 9 rounds, okay, and they get a knockdown, is that a competitive fight? Yes or no? Because that's not a competitive fight to me. Liam Williams was game. I give him all the credit in the world. He was game. He had some decent moments. But, yeah, I said Canelo looked bad. I said Canelo looked bad against Billy Joe. But if you listen to the second part of my statement, it all came down to style. After I said he didn't look good, I said Demetrius Andrade is a southpaw like Billy Joe. He's a taller southpaw than Billy Joe. He punches harder as a southpaw than Billy Joe, and he's a more awkward southpaw than Billy Joe. So yes, I made that statement, but I backed it up with things in his style. It all comes back to the style. It all comes back to what actually goes on in that ring. I don't give a damn about how bad he looked his last fight. He won. And it wasn't a disputed fight or anything. It wasn't a controversial fight. Now, if Liam Williams would have dropped him and won like 4 rounds and made it like real close in the cards, then I would say, you know what? Maybe Demetrius Andrade, he don't got it to compete at that top level. But that wasn't the case. Rex, shout out to my man Rafael Calvo. He said, where's his comment go? I missed his comment. He says, my guy, are you chilling? Yeah, I'm chilling right here at the, I'm in Oakland right now. I'm in Oakland. I'm on a layover. So I'm just killing time. I'm killing time before my flight. Before I head out to Vegas. Johnny, I'll be in Vegas at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. So I'll see you at the airport at 3, hopefully. Let Boo Andrade get acclimated to 168, and David can get it too. Nobody said nothing about David saying he needs tune-ups. That's what you know what, man? I would love that fight. I would love that fight with Benavidez and Boo. Because technically, look, I'm not gonna get here and disrespect David Benavidez. He's a fantastic fighter. He's one of the guys that I'm campaigning to see Canelo fight in the future. But let's be real. He ain't no unbeatable fighter. This guy had a split decision with Ronald Gavril. He ain't that same fighter anymore. I understand he's developed, but I'm just saying, like, I think I've seen Benavidez dominate most of the fighters he's fought, but they all have the same kind of style. They all sit there in front of him. Romero Angulo sat there in front of him. Ronald Ellis, he came to fight him in a straight line and sat there right in front of him. Boo Andrade gonna do that. So I want to see how Benavidez. I want to see that his ability to cut the ring off get tested. That'd be a great fight. Make it happen. You know, let Boo Boo get acclimated. You know, let him get like a John Ryder or like a tune-up fight or 2 at 168. No, just 1. Let him get 1 tune-up fight. Maybe he can fight like Daniel Jacobs or something like that, and then give him a big fight. Man, Fresh BX is on him. Fresh BX is on him. BT, you ain't check out that snack training facility in the Bay? Well, I'm in the Bay right now, but I'm not gonna leave the airport. I'm just on a layover, man. This ain't gonna be the True School Sports takes over the Bay Area trip. That's a trip down the future. All right, that's a trip down the future. You know, but I love to check it out. I'll talk to Victor Conti and see if these fighters that are taking snack are taking PEDs, because I always wonder about snack. You know, like. Because as some of you guys may or may not know, if you follow me on Instagram, you know this. I'm a huge baseball fan. Like I just went to Dodger Stadium a couple days ago. I went to the new Texas Rangers ballpark last week. Love baseball, big time diehard Marlins fan, all that stuff. And I know very well who Victor Conti is. Like Victor Conti is bad news in baseball. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, when the whole Balco scandal happened. You had Barry Bonds and all these guys, Palmeiro, Sammy Sosa, all these guys were on Capitol Hill testifying, saying they didn't do it. You know, Rafael Palmeiro was like, I have never taken PEDs. And then they found out he was on that shit. So yeah, I always wanted to talk to Victor Conti and see, like, yo, is this like clean? Like, are these fighters that are taking this, are they on that shit too? Are they on the PEDs? Is this the juice in disguise? Is this commercialized juice? What was that one comment? I was about to read a comment. That boy 26 says, Canelo is clearly worried, not scared about fighting Boo Boo. I was at the Andrade fight in Boston. He's got crazy skills. You know what? I think you put it in the most respectable way possible. I won't say he's scared of him. Because he's a fighter, and he's been fighting since he was 15. This is what he's done. This is what he does. You can love Canelo, you can hate Canelo. I really don't like him, to be honest. But yeah, he's not at that level. I mean, fighting in front of 70,000 people. I mean, shit. I was getting nervous just in the crowd, so I can't imagine, like, if you're a fighter and you walk from the tunnel up them steps to go to the ring. It's a tough thing. But you know, I think he is worried. I think he is worried. It's because he knows it's a tough matchup, and fortunately for him, he's in a political position where he can he can stick his chest out and big time boo-boo. Major Key Boxing, shout out to Glenn. He says, BT, come check out Major Key Monday tonight. Ray Mercer. Oh snap! I'm gonna come check it out. I'll come on. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing tonight because I'm not even at my destination yet, but I'll definitely try to check it out. Wow, that's crazy. I still need to take my kid to a ball game. Yeah, man. Baseball, going to these baseball games is fun, man. I love baseball. Dodger Stadium, listen, I've gone to, fun fact about myself that you guys may not know. I've gone to 10 of the 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. I've gone to 1/3 of the baseball stadiums. Dodger Stadium is one of the best ones out there. I'd recommend anybody, if you go to LA, go to Dodger Stadium, you know? It's my favorite baseball stadium besides Marlins Park. Marlins Park's my favorite because I'm biased and it's my team, but aside from that, Marlins Park, Dodger Stadium's my favorite. Canelo sounds like Scarface. Nah, he don't sound like Scarface. Stop it, man. So there's only one Scarface. Did Jamal Charlo send Boo Boo Andrade the contract, or is Blue Blood capping? Well, I don't know what Blue Blood said because I don't watch Blue Blood. I don't watch a lot of people on YouTube. But I can assume if it came from Blue Blood, that Jamal is that Jamal is heavy capping. He over here capping. Who runs Miami? I run Miami. How about that? Wow, that's amazing, dude. Yeah, I went to Dodger Stadium with my boys and girls club when I was little. I missed those Dodger dogs. Oh, it was amazing. I went there. I went to Dodger Stadium on Friday night when the Marlins played. And that's made it better. The Marlins played the Dodgers on Friday, and they lost. They lost. But it was a fun game to watch. The Marlins went down like 8. We were down like 8-0, and then we put up like 4 or 5 runs, and we made it close. And when the Marlins hit a home run, I was going nuts. I had the whole section booing me. It was great. Champ, you sitting in Dontrell Willis's backyard. He grew up in Alameda. Dontrell Willis, the legend, the legendary Dontrell Willis, the great pitcher, the 2003 Rookie of the Year Dontrell Willis, the 2003 World Series champion. You know, one of my favorite players. But yeah, man, we got the Taylor-Ramirez fight coming up this weekend. It's going to be a great celebration of boxing. I really think. Who do you guys got? Who you guys got in that fight? Right now I'm going with Josh Taylor, and I was rewatching a fight yesterday. Actually, I was rewatching Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Trinidad yesterday, and in Bernard Hopkins' post-fight interview of that fight, he said something interesting that I think applies to Taylor Ramirez. He said when he was fighting Trinidad, he said he knew that once he took away his left hook, he knew that Trinidad had nothing for him. And that's the way I see the Taylor fight. I think if Taylor takes away the left hook of Ramirez don't got nothing for him. So that's an if, and it's a big if. If he takes it away from him, he wins the fight. I'm going with a Josh Taylor masterclass. 117, 111. What do you guys think? Which celebrity runs Miami? I just told you, man. Me, man. Me. I run Miami. I'm the celebrity that runs Miami. I run Miami, Palm Beach, Dania Beach. Definitely Dania Beach. Broward County, Dade County, all of it, man. I think Joe Calzaghe would have beat Canelo. Damn. That would have been a good one. See Joe Calzaghe trying to slap the shit out of Canelo. So, Jiho got Taylor, Steven Rodriguez. Hey, shout out to Steven Rodriguez, my guy, out there in Florida. You know, plumbing in the daytime, boxing at night. You know, good, hell of a coach, coaching some young killers out there. You know, been a long time supporter of the channel and one of the pillars in the South Florida boxing scene. So shout out to him for all he does for the amateur scene. Ooh, Christian Lewis. Shout out to Christian. He says He's got Jose Ramirez by controversial decision. You know what? That's a safe that's a safe bet. If this fight goes 12 rounds and it's close, that is a safe bet. Safe bet, man. Because listen, a lot of people thought Ramirez lost to Zepeda. That was a dubious decision. Personally, like, look, I could be wrong. I could be. You guys might think I'm crazy. I thought Victor Postal beat Ramirez too, but that's more of an unpopular opinion. I thought Postal was. He's pulling that stick on him. He was. Woo. Postal was putting that stick on Ramirez, and they gave it to him. Glad to see T Street doing what he loves again. The dude seems chill. I met T Street. I met T Street once. I met him at I can't remember which press conference I met him at. We talked briefly, but he's a great guy, man. Great guy. I've had minimal interactions with him. I remember when T Street when he was in his little when he was in his coma, you know, I helped him out a little bit. You know, great guy. I was happy to do it. And I'm just, you know, one of the true good guys in the YTBC. You know, always root for him to do well. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Josh Taylor to me is one of the most complete fighters in boxing, and I think with him, he's so good that he might be able to even beat Ramirez in a dogfight. I'll be honest with you. Obviously, that's not the best scenario for him to be in close quarters, mixing it up with Ramirez and letting Ramirez throw that left hook. But he's such a good fighter. He's got a little bit of everything. He's so well-rounded. He showed us so much in his career so far that I think he's probably one of the only guys that could be in a firefight with Ramirez and potentially beat him. But that's not something he'd want. I'll put it to you like that. Wilder, Thurman, Sean Porter, and more all say that Boo Boo Andre was the best when they were amateurs. Canelo knows that, but his fanboy media to protect him from Boo Boo. Yeah, listen, those in the know, anybody who, because you mentioned Wilder, he was on the 08 Olympic team with Boo Boo. Porter was, I believe, an alternate. Thurman was an alternate. That team also had Gary Russell Jr. He was the best of that class. Anybody who knows anything about boxing and has studied the USA Olympic teams over the last couple of years, that anybody knows that's done their homework on what that was around at the time. But the media will lead you to say that otherwise. Will lead you in another direction and say that he wasn't that good. You know?
Thank you for your cooperation and for supporting Oakland International.
Whatever happened to that one guy, Johnny Boxing? He was on your channel one time. He just decided to leave YouTube. Josh Taylor is the UK's best fighter. He is, you know. He's and I think, look, if Josh Taylor wins this fight against Ramirez, I believe he's the greatest fighter to ever come out of Scotland. You know, now look, I'll admit I gotta do some more homework on the history of Scottish boxing, but from my understanding and my knowledge that I have of boxing, from what I hear always and from what I've studied is always that Ken Buchanan is like the gold standard of Scottish boxing. Like Ken Buchanan is the best. And if Josh Taylor becomes undisputed against Ramirez, to me he surpassed the great Ken Buchanan, because Ken Buchanan's biggest fight was against Roberto Duran and he lost. So to me, I look at this for Josh Taylor, if you want to compare and contrast careers, I look at this as his Roberto Duran fight. If he wins it, to me he's solidified himself as the best ever come out of Scotland. And truthfully, if he wins that fight, he might even be the best fighter in the UK pound for pound right now. GGG has a chin made of Thor's hammer. His chin is ridiculous. His chin crazy. I remember Canelo hit him with that overhand right. Bang! And that would have got most fighters out of there. And Triple G was like, it's nothing. Boo Boo should vacate, move up, and put pressure on the WBO to enforce the mandatory. I think so too. But you know what? I think they're going to take this fight with Eubank just to stay active. And after that, I think they'll vacate. But you're right. If it was up to me, if I was his manager, he'd be vacating right now. putting that pressure on that boy right now. Ludacris, he says, yo, BT, I've been following you for a while now. You stay grinding. Thank you, man. It's been a long, grueling road. Nobody ever really sees what goes on behind the scenes here at True School Sports, but I appreciate being appreciated, and it's only going to get better. I really think I'm going to make you guys a bold prediction, and for the 24 of you watching, you can file it away in your head. I believe I will do some of my greatest interviews I've ever done these next 2 weeks in Las Vegas. These next 2 weeks in Las Vegas, I will do some of my greatest interviews. Because I know right now out there, you got Teofimo Lopez is out there. And you guys know if I interview Teofimo Lopez, it's going to be a great interview because he keeps saying he's from New York. I know he's not, and I'm going to press him about it if I interview him. Caleb Plant's out there. I'm going to be going to the top-ranked gym. So you just never know who I might run into. You never know who you might see here on True School Sports. Anyway, thank you, man. I appreciate the comment, Ludacris. Just imagine if Josh Taylor was raised in the U.S. Yo, Josh Taylor, he's different, man. Hell of a fighter. First time I seen Josh Taylor fight, I don't even remember who the hell. He fought. I just remember that I saw him fight on the undercard of James DeGale versus Badou Jack. This is like 2017. I'd never heard of Josh Taylor. Most people never heard of Josh Taylor. He fought some. I watched the whole undercard. He fought some nobody, but I watched him. And I was like, wow, who is this white guy from Scotland? Like, this guy's pretty good. And then I followed him from there, and then I watched his fights against O'Hara Davies and Miguel Vasquez, and he just got better. He just seemed to improve. He got better and better. And I've seen him win fights so many different ways. And from the very first time I saw Josh Taylor fight, like from the very first time I seen him fight, I knew he was special. I knew he was going to be the guy. And that's why I'm picking him, because he's been my guy at 140. Before Ramirez ever emerged, this is the guy that I thought for the longest time was going to be something at 140. And he's one fight away from validating me. When everybody said Josh Taylor was going to lose to Pro Grey in the World Boxing Super Series, I said, absolutely not. That's not happening, champ. No way, no how. All right? All gas, no brakes. Josh Taylor's coming. And he showed himself to be what I said he was. Yeah, hey, Raph, you got to be confident, man. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've got here on YouTube without being confident. So we're going to keep it up. Tech says, Christopher Lovejoy can be champion. Stop it, man. He can't be champion. Joey says, that Nisa Estrada interview was cool. She seems really chill and nice. She is. Let's see, what else is there? Do more interviews with Stacy. He's a great boxing mind and doesn't sugarcoat anything. Yeah, for sure. When I get back home, I'll definitely put that on my to-do list. Josh Taylor and harder fights at 140. Josh Taylor had harder fights at 140 than you know what? I never really sat there and compared the resumes, but you're right, because the landscape at 140, when Taylor got to 140, when he became somebody in 140, just way different than when Crawford was there. When Crawford was at 140 was trash. I mean, at 140 you had like, remember I was here on YouTube back in those days talking about Amir Imam fighting Terrence Crawford. But you know what, Amir Imam, funny enough, he was supposed to be the next big thing, and he just folded. Granados ruined him for life. And then what's funny is that Granados never even got his shot. Bivol versus Canelo, 168. Do you think Bivol got a chance? And by the way, shout out to Michael for the super chat. Of course. I mean, Bivol, I think he's got a better chance than Beterbiev does. I think Bivol is tougher. I think he's the better boxer. I think he uses his range very well. He's got a good right hand. Why not? Canelo, we've seen the problems he had with Kovalev. Kovalev was kind of that long, rangy jab, and didn't even really throw a right hand. So imagine a younger fighter, a fresh fighter like Bivol, throwing the same kind of jab, right hands. I think it'd be a great fight, you know. And if Canelo ever decided to take that fight anytime in the near future, he would get a lot of respect from me. That's one of the fights, aside from Boo Andrade, if he decides to fight Bivol, all respect to him. But thank you, Michael. Much love, much appreciated. I think Rayo Valenzuela gives Shakur mad problems. That'd be a great fight. You know, everybody keeps talking to me about this Rayo Valenzuela kid. I know he fought this weekend. I didn't get a chance to watch him fight. But I keep hearing about how he beat up Teofimo Lopez in sparring. Like my boy Felipe, shout out to Felipe. He was just telling me, oh, this guy beat up Teofimo in sparring twice. I said, okay, is he gonna live off this? Is he gonna live off that one sparring session for the rest of his life? Like, okay, I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. I'm sure he's a very promising prospect, but people gotta stop getting so gassed off of sparring. It's just sparring. Who cares? Who cares if you stop Teofimo in sparring? I guarantee you he won't stop Teofimo under them lights. Straight up. Listen, I know people who I've never seen Teofimo spar, but I know plenty of people who have in South Florida and Vegas. And it's almost a known fact in boxing circles that Teofimo Lopez is trash in sparring. It's actually a known fact in boxing circles that Teofimo Lopez is trash in sparring. He's not that good in sparring. He's an under the lights fighter. That means when the lights turn on, that's when he fights his best, and that's what you want. They don't pay you to be a great sparring fighter. They pay you to be an under the lights fighter. Joy Rizzo says, dude, could you imagine Canelo versus Andrade at 175? Oh my God, great fight. I'll pay that. That's funny. That fight will be interesting because it will be the fighter that I used to dislike the most in Andre Ward back then, and then I versed the fighter I dislike the most now in Canelo. And I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for hating on Andre Ward. I think the reason I disliked him back then was because his fans on YouTube would always discredit Chocolatito. So it made me not like Andre Ward, but he was a hell of a fighter. I think Andre Ward would have beat Canelo. The Ward that fought Kovalev in the rematch, and I was there for that fight. That was amazing performance. I mean, even though we know how it ended. He freaking punched him in his nuts. But like, aside from that, the speed, the timing, the reflexes, the athleticism, the smarts, the composure, the cerebral boxing ability of Andre Ward, amazing. Yeah, I didn't like Andre Ward back then. I don't think it really had much to do with Ward. It was two things back then that made me not like Ward. Maybe three. I'll say three things. The first reason I didn't like Ward back then was because on YouTube back in those days, the LDBC, or the people that are in the LDBC now, they would discredit Chocolatito at every chance they could to prop up Andre Ward. So that made me not like him because Chocolatito, Romo Gonzalez is my favorite fighter. So that made me not like him. Then the first Kovalev fight, he clearly lost that fight. To me, it's not even debatable. He lost that fight. The only rounds I thought he won in the Kovalev fight, the first fight, was the 5th round, the 7th round, the 8th round, and I think I gave him the 11th. He won 4 rounds. So I had it 116, 112 Kovalev. Oh no, with a knockdown though, it was I think it's 117, 111. So I had Kovalev winning that fight. And I thought it was a gross robbery. It was bad for boxing. But hey, he did what he did in the rematch. So fair play to him. So yeah, those two things, and I don't anymore. I'm not a big Kovalev fan anymore. But back in those days, I was a Kovalev fan. Since then, I'm not, because I feel like Kovalev threw the Canelo fight, and he just hasn't taken his career serious. So I'm not really a fan of his like I used to be. But I was back in those days. I was a big Sergey Kovalev was one of my favorite boxers at one point in time. So look, my history shows you, like, look, with these fighters, if I like a fighter, if he's on some bullshit, I reserve the right to change my mind. And if I don't like a fighter, and he proves himself and fights the best and is a testament to boxing, like Jermell Charlo, then I can change my mind and be a fan of his. So like, I'm not a fan of Kovalev anymore. I'm a fan of Charlo now. So it's funny. But you know what? Like, Andre Ward, I feel, if there's one thing on YouTube I do feel bad about, it was that time period, like 2016, 2017, when I would hate on Andre Ward. I actually feel bad about that, because I feel like he's a genuinely good guy. I believe he's a good example to these younger fighters as far as how he conducts and carries himself, and that's what it is, man. Like, so I repent for hating on Andre Ward. Are you still a Keith Thurman fan? I am. I do like Keith Thurman. I want to see him get back in the ring. You know, even though he's on some bullshit too. I'm not gonna lie to you, he is on some bullshit too. But he just, I don't know. I like him. To me, I've always liked Thurman. Let me see. Where will you watch Ramirez versus Taylor? I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm pretty sure I'll be watching it with my boy Johnny, maybe at his house. But I haven't ironed that out yet. But we'll be watching it. I'll definitely be live for it. That much I can tell you. Oh man, nah. Keith. Listen, Keith was inactive before COVID. He was inactive way before COVID. He was inactive before it was popular. So I guess you could say Keith was a trendsetter. What are your thoughts on the British light heavyweight scene? Callum Johnson, Craig Richards, Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur, and Joshua Buatsi. I think the British light heavyweight scene is good, solid. You know, Callum Johnson, very tough fighter. Much respect to him. Craig Richards, personally for me, I always thought he was a bit overrated. I thought Craig Richards lost to Andre Sterling. And then Anthony Yarde, I mean, look, he needs to stop doing these stupid interviews with that one British dude on his channel where he's giving 2-hour explanations on just basically saying that he's going to fire Tunde Ajayi. Like, he's too dramatic, Anthony Yarde. Like, I like him, but he's too damn dramatic for me. Good fighter, though. I think he's been poorly coached. I would love to see him come to America and get some training with some of the American coaches because I feel like he has the attributes that fit in with a lot of the American coaches. But to me, he's a waste of talent. Lyndon Arthur, I like Lyndon Arthur. He's got one of the best jabs in the division. Out of everybody, him and Buatsi, I think, are the best. I think those are the two best out of that little crop of fighters. Buatsi, I mean, I didn't do a video about his fight this weekend. I know he got a knockout. But Buatsi, I'm very high on him. You know, I'm the guy that when I did a video about Buatsi, I said that if there was a guy in the Eddie Hearn stable that I would bet on becoming a dominant world champion, it would be Buatsi. Buatsi, to me, is one of the... He might be, aside from, like, obviously, like Joshua and Fury, or Joshua and Canelo, as far as his British fighters go, he might be his best British fighter, aside from, like, Anthony Joshua. Buatsi is damn good. Very, very good. And I think, you know, Buatsi's going to make some noise and become champion. I would bet a lot of money on him becoming world champion.
Thank you for your cooperation and for supporting Oakland International.
Fresh BX says Lyndon Arthur equals right hand will take you around the block, but a good jab will take you around the world. Exactly. He's the definition of that because he barely... I don't think he even threw a right hand against Anthony Yarde. He claims that his right hand was hurt and all he could do was throw a jab. So if that's the case, he just beat Anthony Yarde with just a jab. That's true. Andre Ward ducked Adonis Stevenson for undisputed. Yeah, man. He beat Kovalev and he came out with that commercial. He said, "That's it. I'm on top." The Ramirez body shots are the keys to beat Josh Taylor. Yeah, the key for him to beat Josh Taylor is the body shots. The key for Taylor is to take away the left hook. If Taylor, I'm telling y'all right now, if Josh Taylor takes away the left hook against Jose Ramirez, this fight is going to be target practice for him. That's if and only if. Jose Ramirez is a very, 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 very average fighter without the left hook. You know, left hook is great. I'm not discrediting Ramirez as a fighter, but like, it's his money punch. It's the punch that allows him to settle in and be his best version of himself. Without that punch, he's not a great fighter. He's not as good as Regis Prograis, in my opinion, without that left hook. So if the left hook is landed, he could give Josh Taylor some serious problems and hurt him and take him to some dark places. But without that left hook, it'll be target practice. So we'll see, man. That's the most interesting thing in this fight for me is can Ramirez land a left hook, and can Taylor take away the left hook? Do you think Virgil Hunter and Joshua Buatsi will be a successful partnership? Now, anybody who's been watching my channel for a long time or long enough knows that I don't really rate Virgil Hunter as a trainer. I think Virgil Hunter is one of the most overrated trainers in boxing. He's never done anything with anybody aside from Andre Ward. And if you listen to real closely to his instructions, they're not really like great instructions. Like when he fought from Farah, I always joke around when he fought from Farah in the Adonis Stevenson rematch, was getting his ass waxed from pillar to post. And he literally told Fanfara to go out there after he just got dropped and was getting his ass whooped the first round. He said, Fanfara, go out there and don't throw no more, don't throw a punch. And you can guess what happened the next round. You can guess. So to get back to your question, I don't know. I think Buatsi strikes me as a guy who's very dedicated to the game, very dedicated to his craft, very dedicated to just the sport, you know. And I feel like he's good enough. He's such a good fighter that Virgil Hunter could train him to a world title. That's how I feel. Your boy Haka Mustang talking hella shit. He said your boy Christopher Lovejoy should fight Johnny Boy. At this point, man, I think he should, man, because Christopher Lovejoy, he's conning the hell out of boxing. I don't know if he really made $200,000 like he claims, but he seems happy, so I'm gonna assume he made some sort of money. Fabio knows the saying, "Don't throw punches. You got a family." Oh, you know what's crazy? I'm in Oakland right now. If I had to go to Vegas, I would go say hi to Virgil Hunter. Joe Joyce has a great chin. You're right, Fresh BX. Joe Joyce. He's really made me a believer with that Dubois fight. If Joe Joyce fights Usyk, I think he's gonna beat the shit out of Usyk if they fight. Too durable, too strong. Got a piston-like jab. I think his jab is very underrated. Joe Joyce is definitely one to watch out for in the heavyweight division. The fight I'm looking forward to is Philip Hrgovic and Joe Joyce. That's the fight I want to see. Because, you know, they fought in the amateurs and Joyce beat him, but Hrgovic was young and people thought Hrgovic won. So I'd love to see it in the pros. Joey Rizzo was talking about Josh Kelly. Now, Josh Kelly, I'm right there with you, champ. There was a point in time where I was gassed up on Josh Kelly. I thought Josh Kelly was going to do something. I remember I used to say things like, how you doing? I used to say things like, Josh Kelly versus Virgil Ortiz is the fight to make in the 147. It's the future super fight, you know, England versus Mexican American. But we saw that worked out. He got destroyed. It's unfortunate because he's trained by Adam Booth, and Adam Booth fighters all run into the same problem. Because Adam Booth trains his fighters to fight they box their hands down, and you know, with them boxing with their hands down, you know, at some point in time, these Adam Booth fighters always run into some sort of volume puncher, and they get their ass whooped. Happens every single time. It never fails. It happened with Josh Kelly and David Avanesian. It happened with Katie Taylor and Delphine Pursoon twice, even though she got the decision. It always happens. George Groves, when he fought Froch. I mean, Froch is not necessarily the biggest volume puncher, but he's a guy that, you know, in pockets of fights, he'll punch enough to get your attention. So these Adam Booth fighters, always. I should have known better. That would be something. Fresh BX says, I like Joyce. I want to see if he can survive a Deontay Wilder right hand. That would be nuts. That would be absolutely nuts to see that fight. You know, and look, you look at Wilder now. Malik Scott's training him, and he's throwing feints and body shots. It's like, who is this guy? GGG's ducking Demetrius Andrade blatantly. DAZN should stop funding his bum of the month deal. Bum of the month? I wish it was bum of the month. It's bum of the year. You don't be fighting like that. Rafael Calvo, I don't know if you're still here, but you asked me earlier, is there any news on Triple G and Pacquiao? The only news I can tell you about either one of those two, it pertains to Triple G. Last I heard, Triple G is not going to have any fights until New Year's Eve, December 31st in Japan. He's going to sit on his hands, do nothing, and wait to fight Ryota Murata over there. But shout out to everybody here, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and helping my time in Oakland just fly by, because it's a freaking four-hour layover. 4-hour layover. Ulysses Perez says, I haven't heard nothing on Gabriel Rosado. Funny enough, now you guys are going to laugh, but like that day I went to Wild Card Gym, I actually saw him. I didn't like talk to him, but I saw him off in the distance. When I went to Wild Card Gym and I found out it was closed, there's like a downstairs part of the gym that they have sectioned off. And Gabe Rosado, I saw him walking in to the gym and I said, what's up to him? He's training at Wild Card Gym. I can confirm to you guys because I've seen it with my own 4 eyes. He's training at Wild Card Gym, and he posted on his Instagram the other day that he'll be fighting June 19th. So I don't know who he's fighting, but that's the latest news on Gabe Rosado. Where is the YouTube channel guy who talks about the heavyweights? They're talking about my boy Mr. Boxing Today. Great guy, one of the best. I don't know what he's up to. I haven't checked his channel out in a little bit, so I don't know what's up with him. We don't really talk like that. I used to have his number. We used to talk sometimes, but that was years ago. I don't have his number anymore. But great guy though. Got much love for Mr. Boxing Today. I'll never say a bad word about him. I think he's one of the best. Word? Gabriel Rosado's fighting Melikuziev? It's a great fight. If what you're telling me is true, that would be that's an amazing fight. You know, Melikuziev was supposed to fight Kovalev. He didn't get it because Kovalev was on that synthetic testosterone. I would love that fight. I would love to see Melikuziev in there with a guy like Rosado. Because funny enough, people can make fun of Rosado's record. I think Rosado's actually improving as a fighter. I think he's getting better. I think he was a fighter that didn't have a big amateur background. This guy had a full-time job when he was fighting early in his career. And he's grinded his way, become an experienced, savvy veteran. I think he's actually improving. I think he's actually improving and getting better at this stage of his career. He's boxing more disciplined behind the jab. He moves better. You know, sometimes losing isn't the worst thing. I feel like Gabriel Rosado, I don't know how fresh his body is at this point in his career. It can't be that fresh. He's been in a lot of wars, but like maybe Gabriel Rosado, if he wins this fight against Melikuziev, maybe the second half of his career, maybe he could be like the next Freddie Pendleton. Or I don't know if you guys know Freddie Pendleton, but Freddie Pendleton was that lightweight back in the 90s. This guy was kind of like Rosado in a lot of ways. Took a lot of tough fights. He fought. Who'd he beat? He beat a lot of good fighters. He beat I think he beat Roger Mayweather. He beat Paez. He beat I think he knocked out Tyrone Trice. He's a hell of a fighter. But he fought Pernell Whitaker. He was the guy that, you know, in his career, he took a lot of losses, like a lot. Like he had like a Rosado type of record. He had like a Rosado type of record. And nobody thought he'd be world champion. So who knows? Maybe, you never know in boxing. If Rosado wins this fight against Melikuziev, maybe he can Terry Pendleton the second half of his career. You know? But either way, he's carved out a great career for himself. I always tell people, Gabriel Rosado is a great example that your O doesn't matter, because I'll tell you this. Gabriel Rosado has 12 losses or 11 losses or whatever it is. He has a lot of losses, but his market value as a fighter is a lot higher than a lot of guys in boxing who are undefeated, because he's been in a lot of big fights. He markets himself well. He's accessible. He's a nice guy. Like, people like him. So because of that, he gets a lot of opportunities outside of boxing. He's been in movies. He was in Creed. I'll probably be in some more movies. You know, I'm just saying. Good example. Livingston Bramble. Oh my God, Livingston Bramble. I forgot about Livingston Bramble. He knocked out. That's the guy. He knocked out Ray Mancini. Buddy McGirt outboxed him. Good fighter, Livingston Bramble. Fought everybody. Yeah, Freddie Pendleton was an OG. I met him once a couple years ago. Great guy. Gerald McClellan versus Canelo. Who you got, True School? Prime for prime. Ooh, that's a hell of a question. I'm going McClellan. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I gotta watch more Gerald because my memory's a bit foggy when it comes to his career right now. Like as far as like his style, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that as I don't know. But you know what? I don't know, and I'm gonna go back and watch some of his career, and then if you see me live again, ask me that question, and I will have a better answer for you. But I remember Gerald McClellan being the prototype like Kwang gym fighter. You know, he's a prototype Kwang gym fighter with like with a big right hand. Yeah, free smoke Rosado. Hell yeah. Okay, my bad, guys. I got distracted. They're doing some sort of like checkup here at the airport about something. Isaac Cruz versus Francisco Vargas. Is that official? Francisco Vargas shouldn't even be fighting anymore. He's taking too much punishment. I wouldn't want to see that. I mean, it'd be a good, entertaining, Mexican war or whatnot, but nah. Do you have Teofimo beating Taylor or Ramirez if they fight? Now, you're asking a great question. I don't know about Taylor. To me, Taylor versus Teofimo is a pick'em fight. I have no clue on who I'd pick in that fight. I want to see that fight. That's why I want Ramirez to win, or not Ramirez. Taylor to win, because I want to see Lopez versus Taylor. I think it's a great fight. Now, Lopez versus Ramirez, I think he'd beat the dog shit out of Ramirez if they fight.
Your attention, please.
Jose Ramirez is too one-dimensional to beat Teofimo Lopez.
A federal and county
I think he would beat him really badly. And a lot of people are saying Teofimo Lopez is too small for 140. You're wrong. Teofimo Lopez is too big for 135. He's going to be a great... Listen, when he gets to 140, that's where you're going to see the best Teofimo Lopez, because he won't have to suck down weight or anything like that. He'll be the best version of himself. Tszyu is not getting the winner. That's reserved for Terrence Crawford. I hope so, because Terrence deserves to be in a big fight. So hopefully this fight could be fight of the year or something close to it. We could produce a star and get Terrence Crawford in a mega fight, because Terrence Crawford deserves a mega fight. I'm telling y'all right now, Teofimo Lopez at 140 is gonna be special. Remember, I told you this. When he gets to 140 and he starts getting even more impressive knockouts than he had at 135, remember what I told you. Remember where you heard it first. You didn't hear from nobody else but your boy The Untouchable. That's what I'm saying. Teofimo has an extremely thick frame from 135. His frame is solid enough for 140. I think anybody saying he's too small for 135 for 140 is grossly underestimating him. And there's a lot of things in his skills and his skill set that he hasn't even had a chance to show yet. Like, he might show it in the Kambosos fight. He might. George might bring it out of him, but like, Teofimo Lopez can box his ass off. This guy this is someone that he won the Olympic trials for the USA. He didn't represent USA because of the amateur politics and whatnot, but he won the trials. And you don't do that if you can't box. So I feel like at 140, you're gonna see a lot more of the technical skills of Teofimo, because he does have technical skills. You don't go in there and beat Vasily Lomachenko the way he beat him, not being a skilled technical fighter. Gary Russell versus Gary Russell or Elvis Rodriguez versus Tszyu. Good fights. Good fights to make it 140. Oh man, Ulysses Perez not having it. He said Tszyu beat a 126 pounder. Now he's a Hall of Famer. He beat freaking Nakatani. Nakatani is freaking 6 foot something. Freaking he beat Comey. He was a full-fledged 35 pounder. What are you talking about? He's gonna fight Kambosos. Kambosos is a 135 pounder. People are gonna say he's not that good, but he earned his shot. He went through the proper channels to earn the shot. And Teofimo Lopez, you know what? If he becomes undisputed at 140, or if he beats like a Taylor or something like that, you might as well just put him in the Hall of Fame. You might as well. The way I see it, Lopez ain't too far from being in the Hall of Fame already, to be honest. A win over Lomachenko at 135 at the time he beat him, you know, that's big time. You can say he was a 26 pounder, but that 26 pounder was the number one guy in the division. That 26 pounder, in many people's eyes, was the pound for pound king of boxing. Come on, man. Fresh BX says, man, I got a quote about that TLM fight as it relates to Canelo and Andrade. I'm gonna save that. Yeah, save the gems. Save the gems, Fresh BX. Save it for him. They're not ready. Adrian Broner was a 135-pound weight bully too. Adrian Broner didn't fight anybody at 135. Who was his best one at 35? Did he fight DeMarco? Was DeMarco at 35? Adrian Broner at 35 would have got killed by Teofimo Lopez. Joey Rizzo says, I don't know, dude. I have this weird feeling someone will drop and KO Canelo before he retires. Listen, I would be amazing if that happened. Trust me, there'd be nobody happier in all of the YouTube box community than myself if that happened. But I don't see it happening. I think Canelo Alvarez chin too strong. But you could be right. You know, who knows, man? He's got a lot of wear and tear on that body. He's been boxing since he was 15. We'll see. Who was there when Loma was there? A few British guys and an old Linares, blah, blah, blah. Well, when Lomachenko fought Linares was the other best guy in the division. He could have fought Mikey Garcia, but Mikey Garcia ducked him and fought Errol Spence. And Mikey Garcia didn't even want to fight Linares. He was offered to fight Linares in January of 2018. Something like that. Was it January? Yeah, January 2018. Didn't take the fight, ducked the fight. So the Garcia fight was the fight he really wanted. He wanted to fight Tank at 130. You know, those are the fights he was looking at. But Lopez emerged. He emerged. And, you know, he talked a big game. And I remember when I was on YouTube, you guys can make all the excuses for Lomachenko and discredit the win all you want. But I remember I was one of the only channels in January, February, you know, early 2019. And I have the video. It's still up. Teofimo Lopez is the man to beat Lomachenko. And people laughed at me. People laughed at me. People laughed at me. They said, oh, you don't know shit about boxing. Lopez isn't going to beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko's too skilled. This guy, whatever, you know, all this stuff. He gets and I was one of the only people that stuck by him when he had his bad performance against the Nakatani, when he had the Nakatani fight. And I'm like, yo, this could be one of the greatest things that ever happened to his career. And it was, because he won on a freaking he caught a case and he assaulted Richard Comey the next fight and became IBF champion. And then he went in there and this USA amateur boxing reject went in there and outboxed one of the best amateurs of all time. That's a fact. Mikey Garcia in no way, shape, or form is better than Teef. Mikey Garcia is a hype job. I don't want to hear it. Mikey Garcia has no heart. He quit in the Salido fight. He ducked Lomachenko. A good fighter, a great fighter actually, talent-wise, a great fighter talent-wise, but he doesn't have enough of this. The gambler, he'll tell you, say, look, I made $3,000 on your word. Exactly. I made people money off the Lopez fight. Yeah, I don't think Canelo will lose for a very long time, unless he fights Demetrius Andrade. Yeah, in boxing, listen, boxing's the one sport, because the best don't always fight the best. You can always discredit a fighter. You can always discredit a fighter. I can go to listen. You can name any. Let's play a game. We're gonna play a game. You guys can name any fighter in the history of boxing, and I can find a way to discredit them. Any fighter, name them. Any fighter, any great fighter from history. Name a fighter in the comments, and I'll sit here and I'll find a way to discredit them. It's the easiest thing to do in the world. Would you rather see Devin versus Teofimo, Canelo versus Bubble Andrade, or Ryan versus Tank? Put them in order, BT. All right, well, number one would clearly be Canelo versus Bubble Andrade. There's no fight in boxing that I want to see more than Canelo versus Bubble Andrade. That's clearly number one. Second, I'd want to see Devin versus Teo. And third would be Tank versus Ryan. So I'll go with that. All right, Joe Calzaghe. I mean, Joe Calzaghe wasn't even that good. All he did was hold the belt hostage in the UK. Who was that one guy? Who was that guy he fought? There was a guy that said he ducked. There was a guy in his weight class that said that he ducked. Oh yeah, he held the belt hostage in the UK. He ducked Glenn Johnson. You know, he didn't fight. He didn't fight in America. He fought an old Roy Jones. He fought an old Bernard Hopkins. He slapped with his punches. He's a bum. He didn't fight nobody. You know, he got a gift. He got a gift decision in the Robin Reed fight. I mean, look, you shit on Joe Calzaghe. He went 40. He went undefeated. Pernell Whitaker. Yeah, that's a good one actually. How do you discredit Pernell Whitaker? That's a good one. That might be a tough one. Oh, actually, yeah. Here we go. Pernell Whitaker, the guy that got beat up by Floyd Mayweather in sparring. He's just a bootleg Floyd Mayweather. That's about as far as I can go with Pernell Whitaker because he was a damn good fighter. Yeah, but Joe Calzaghe, everybody. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. There was a guy in his weight class who was champion or who everybody wanted to see Joe fight. I can't remember his name right now. They say he ducked him. I can't remember who it is right now. If I see his name, I'd know it. I can't think of it. There was one guy in particular. No, it wasn't Steve Collins. It was another guy. I think his last name started with like an S. Was it an S? I don't remember what his name started with. It wasn't Steve Collins. I know Steve Collins. It wasn't Steve. But yeah, he should have fought Steve Collins too. That would have been a good fight. Was it Cox? I can't remember right now. I can't remember. Joe beat Prime Jeff. He beat Prime left hook. He ruined Jeff Lacy. But, you know, Jeff Lacy wasn't even that good. No, it wasn't Carl Froch. It was another guy. Fuck, man. I wish Nordic Warrior was here. Nordic Warrior did a video about it. Did a video about Joe Calzaghe's career. And he mentioned the guy. I can't remember his name right now. Man, when Miguel Cotto beat Sergio Martinez, people were going nuts. I remember half my family was going crazy. Hey, you know what's crazy? I forgot about this. Do you guys remember? Because I had my memory refreshed the other day. I was watching old interviews on Fight Hype from like 6 years ago. Because I do that every now and then. I'll go on these old channels and I'll go to like interviews from like 6 years ago and I'll just watch stuff and I had to have my memory refreshed. I completely forgot that Miguel Cotto was gonna fight James Kirkland after Canelo had already knocked him out. Do y'all remember that? Cotto, I believe Cotto had the belt, and he could have fought Demetrius Andrade too. He was ducking Demetrius Andrade. He fought James Kirkland. Do you guys remember that? He was gonna fight Demetrius Andrade at the Cowboys James Kirkland, I should say, at the Cowboys practice facility. It's a big thing. Shelka, yeah, that's who it was. It was Shelka. It was Shelka. I forgot the guy's first name. What was his first name? think it was Shelka. I'm pretty sure it was Shelka. Poor James got killed. But listen, James Kirkland, trained by Ann Wolfe, doing those crazy exercises where... Have you guys ever watched the videos where Ann Wolfe trained James Kirkland? And she's like in a truck. She's literally... No, it wasn't. I know Omar. It wasn't Omar Shelka. It was another guy. I can't remember his name right now. James Kirkland, I remember there was the video of Ann Wolfe in a truck, like outside somewhere in Texas in the heat. And there's a punching bag attached to the car. And James Kirkland, like, he's driving the car as fast as possible. And James Kirkland's just like James Kirkland, Ann Wolfe training James Kirkland. The James Kirkland that was trained by Ann Wolfe was different. He could have actually been something if him and Ann Wolfe would have kept training together. Ann Wolfe was the truth. That's my favorite video. James Kirkland with the punching bag. With the truck. Nah, you can't. You can never fix paper chin. You can never fix paper chin. Joe Calzaghe was mad underrated. One of my favorite fighters of all time. I actually hate when people try to discredit him because he was a great fighter, you know. And like we get a lot of complaints here in America when a fighter in the UK doesn't travel and he holds the belt hostage. Us American fans down the British fighters, but he was a guy, a Welsh fighter, a Welshman. He had the belt there for a long time, and he finally came over here and he fought two of the biggest names you could fight, and he looked sensational. He won. I mean, the Hopkins fight was close. The Roy Jones fight was an easy fight for him. I mean, he got dropped early, but after that, it was an easy fight. He got dropped in the first round both fights, but after that, you know, he found a way to win. Ann Wolfe had James Kirkland flipping over tractor tires in the 100 degrees. Exactly. She was going crazy with James Kirkland. I'm about to revisit that here in a second when I'm done with this live. Every somewhat black American guy with a massive left hook gets compared to Mike Tyson. It's like how every Argentinian attacking midfielder was the new Maradona until Messi showed up. Yeah, pretty much. Or like every Filipino gets compared to Manny Pacquiao. Any decent Filipino fighter, especially if they're southpaw Filipino fighters, gets compared to Manny Pacquiao. Like a Casemiro and Cajas and all these guys. Yeah, Kell Brook before Earl Spence, I think would have schooled Earl Spence. Because even the Kell Brook after the Golovkin, you know, we saw him have a lot of success against Earl Spence. So I think pre-Golovkin, Kell Brook would have schooled Earl Spence, would have beat him soundly. And probably, who knows, the whole history, the whole welterweight division would have been changed forever. I think if he would have taken that fight with Jesse Vargas for unification, he would have beat Vargas. He would have been unified champion. And I think the eventual super fight in the division would have been him versus Terrence Crawford, but like without Kell Brook being shot. So that's why Kell Brook versus Terrence Crawford was so depressing to watch. Thank God. But look, guys, I'm gonna get up on out of here because I'm gonna go eat and make some phone calls. But thank you guys for really, truthfully, for stopping by to talk some boxing with me. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to Vegas. I'm gonna get some great content for you guys, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We will be live for the Taylor-Ramirez fight this weekend. And go check out and support all the other content here on True School Sports. And yeah, man, support the real and never support the fake. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable, True School Sports. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.